something within
Yeah.
ourselves or outside ourselves. But when somebody no longer is at that particular battlefield and they have withdrawn from the battle and there is this peace that have come over them, you can sense it. They
Mm.
convey that. It radiates. Peace radiates just like war.
It does. It
You
does. It
see?
does.
So
Wow.
when you have an energy, say you were saying something having to do, give me the example once again that you said that you had that you were that say you what was that example that you used just
Uh,
now?
oh shit! I don't forgot. What?
uh, the energy was that you had to smile. They keep telling you
Oh,
smile,
I
smile,
said yes. Say I was happy because my son graduated from your university,
right?
or I
Mhm.
was sad because a family member
Right.
died. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but when they're telling you, you say that all the new age people are telling you to smile.
Hmm.
Well, you have to understand that the smile is usually a reaction to something that you have felt.
Hmm.
Now, if you're doing it just to do it, what you're doing is you're clicking a certain energy in you that after a while it doesn't have the same effect.
Mm.
It's an overuse of something.
Mm.
Smiling constantly always causes a trigger of specific hormones.
Mm.
After you've saturated yourself with them, how can you tell the difference anymore? That's why the great ones were very stoic. They didn't show any emotions. They didn't just that they didn't have it. They're not suppressing it. It's just that they didn't want them to overcome that. And the one thing that men have is that ability. It's not that we're forced to do that. It is dependent upon who it is raising us, a woman or a man.
Hmm.
And that's what I used to happen with my children, for example. Even with my girl, my daughter, when she would fall down, and you ever have your son when they fall down and they do something, they always look at you for some kind of cue as to whether or
Yes.
not you're
Yes.
paying attention. Did I do wrong? Are you there for me? And so forth. And what
Mm.
I would do is when my son, my man was wild. So
Mm.
when he would fall or he
Like
come
my
with,
son.
yeah, when he would come with some kind of bruise or he would fall, he'd look at me and he would get serious. And I'd look at him and say, "You all right?" And he would like, ready to cry or something. And I say, "Okay, brush it off. You'll be all right." I did not overreact to show
Yes.
him that that was his private thing. How you react to that keeps you cool. Because if you're starting to break out and tear up, and then you've lost control.
Mm.
You notice the same thing that happens with women. When things get out of control, women cry. When things get out of control with men, men get angry.
Mm.
Have you ever noticed that?
Yes. No. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
because we were triggered to handle these kind of situations. And there's
Mm.
very few women who have that ability. They have to be actually super trained to be like that. But every time I feel that something is not right and something is going wrong, there is always, my wife is there to give me the other side, but I go right at that, I'm pissed.
Mm.
And when I get pissed, I get focused.
Mm.
You see, nothing else matters. But
Mm.
I know I'm drifting off of it, but what I'm saying is, um, when you're doing things that they're telling you in the new age, that's the Europeans' new age. Your new age was something completely different. If you go into the East, you will see that there are smiles, but there are smiles of accomplishment for, say, certain yogic exercises that you can actually come in and participate in because you've created the protective veneer of hormones that would help to counteract anything that becomes addictive to you. So the yoga is to prepare you so that you actually balance everything within you. They want you to just do one thing consistently, and then your body will always reject it. It will always cause some kind of disturbance in the quote force within you.
I want to real quick, Doc. I want to share your PayPal. Y'all know, if you're a frequent follower of the channel, you know that Doc was banned from Cash App. So if you would like to support Doc, his PayPal is on the screen. Like this has been absolutely amazing so far. Y'all can't front. This is an amazing conversation. The back and forth we're having is amazing. So show some support. Hit Doc up. His PayPal, kemetearth@gmail.com, and I'll share the brothers other. There's other information we're gonna share later on during the show. But for right now, to support Doc, make sure you hit up his PayPal. If you appreciate this information, water is a very important substance that we really don't know how to interact with it the way we should. So it's amazing. Doc, to continue. If water is so important, Doc, they're telling us 75-80% of our body is water. The baby is born in water, but when the baby comes out of the water into this world, I'm a newly formed father, so that's why I'm asking this question. I'm a little hype. The baby's born in he's in water for him or she is in water for 9 months or whatever. They come out of water. The first thing they say is, don't give the baby water for such and such amount of time. What? In my body's water, as an adult, I need all this water. The baby's born in water. Why, when the baby comes out, you tell me don't give the baby water for the first 9 months or whatever, Doc? I'm trying to understand that. Please talk to me.
Reason for that is because the mother is giving the form of qualified water necessary for that baby to grow in spurts over the next few weeks.
Okay.
Babies at that time, when we were in our higher stage, when they were born, they weren't born 9 and 10 and 12 pounds. Maybe when we were the giants, I could see it that way. When you have a frail young woman who's carrying a 9-pound baby trying to press it through a small keyhole of that stretches maybe a certain amount, that's not good. So what happens is the baby, they tell you not to give the baby anything because the baby's stomach is filled with the amniotic fluid. Because the baby is a fish that just came out of water. So the stomach is chock full of the amniotic fluid, which essentially was what the baby was actually gulping. So after the baby may have a urination, and after the baby has its defecating, it's now ready for the mother's quality. See, it switched from that intravenous that was given through the umbilical, and now it's going to the mother. Now, a lot of times when they try to offer the breast to the baby, a lot of times the baby is trying to find the breast, right?
Yes.
And what we tend to do, was to try to push the baby towards it from the outside, towards the breast. And when the baby keeps going towards your hand, it's like here you are, you want to push the baby towards the breast, and you're pushing the back of the baby's head towards the breast, but the baby keeps doing this, not realizing that the wherever the touch is where the baby would go. So you have to touch it towards the inside where the breast is, so it will go towards the breast. So these are some of the things you get to learn, after I delivered 4 babies, which is, it's you have to watch that miracle happen, including my granddaughter, and and my son. And so, it's like an energy that you have to kind of get into, and then when you understand that the baby is now in the water of a higher frequency and is now condensed, because there's no such thing as creation. There's condensation. And as I keep teaching people, there's no such thing as creation. Everything condenses from the all. It pre-exists and then condenses into the matrix that allows it to exist at this particular pressure level we call third density. So when the baby comes, the baby's coming from a whole other reality. That baby is condensing from a whole other reality, and now it has to kind of adjust its lens, its consciousness, its brain. Now it has some pre-programs in it. It has some programs it came with based upon its previous avatar. And then now what it does is, in this new reality, it has to adjust based upon you now. You and your wife are programming the child to the new reality that this new avatar, but the child is actually older than you and your wife. And you will see that, because his reality is not today. His reality is about 10, 20 years from now. And you're just preparing him for something that you are only going to be part of, and he is going to be master of.
God damn it, talk to But Doc, so let me ask you this one more baby question before we continue. So you know how they say to talk to the stomach when your queen is pregnant. Is
Mhm.
that when you're talking to your queen's stomach? Is that because you're programming the waters, the embryonic fluid, and the waters is programming the baby? Is that how that works? I'm talking to the stomach. I'm programming the waters, the embryonic fluid, and when the fluid is programming the baby. Is that how that works?
No, your sound frequency as the father is already known because your sperm actually was the
Okay.
resonating consciousness.
Yes,
So
sir.
now you've given a kind of um, signal,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
another volume, another quality of the same signal that brought that opened up that Stargate that
Yes.
allowed him to come through. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, remember I keep telling him, I told people back in the 1980s that there was a nuclear explosion that takes place inside of the middle of the egg. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody laughed at me. But
Mm-hmm.
now they found out, yeah, science say, guess what happens? There is this huge spark that they don't know what happens. It completely clouds out the microscope and the what do you call it scope because they can't see anything
Mm-hmm.
after the explosion takes place, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a zygote.
Mm.
Okay, that's when the condensation process begins, the formula for what that particular child is going to be, and boom. And you got to remember, we have killed off many messiahs over the last 30 years since 1972. Our women have aborted over 12 million babies. That's what I call the age of Herod. If you're for the Christians, remember what Herod did. Herod went after the innocent children, the boys to kill off, and the girls to kill off the Messiah. So now
Mm-hmm.
I know I may have taken it to a dark place, but you have to understand how
Mm.
deep
Mm-hmm.
that womb is and why they attacked the black woman's womb.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the Messiah is supposed to come from. It ain't coming from all these other ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from her womb. That's why she's under attack. That's why she's made to look like Cardi B and the rest of these, playing that thought nonsense. You see, so you got to, just twerking and doing all this kind of nonsense. I mean, yeah, you got to
See that
defile.
dot nonsense.
Yeah, well, you got to
Oh
deal.
man.
You got to
I
defile.
didn't even know you knew what a thought was, Doc. That's
I
all.
just, you know what? I just learned about it from my son. I said, what the? I said, is he mean tough? Like,
Like
Jehudi?
Thoth, yeah, sound like Thoth, right? Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
said, was that thought or something like that? And it said, oh, like I said, okay, if it's thought, then it has to be something up here. And this is where they attacked our women,
Mm,
up here. So
mm,
that's why she's a thought, because she's a rogue thought.
mm. Damn, talk to me.
Okay.
God damn it.
So you have to understand, because when my son told me that, I said, so I understand now why these words come out of nowhere.
I don't. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
they
What are
don't
these
come out
words?
of nowhere. They
They have, yes, they come to fit the moment.
fit the moment. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Some
that's why they
powerful shit there. Woo!
yeah. Back in the day, what do you used to call you young people used to call each other? Yo, dog. What do you
Dog,
mean
yeah.
yo dog? What do you mean dog? That's not a dog. Dog was on the look. No, dog was the dog star.
Hmm.
And when you talk a dog, you dealing with God on earth, reversing the word.
Yes.
So they're different things, right? When you're dealing from the metaphysics, you can deal with that. Just like nigga is the word naga or
Hmm.
negus, king.
Hmm.
It's just a new way of calling us kings, but I don't like it because the European is the one who defiled that. Let's call ourselves something, nagas.
Hmm.
Something use the vibration and the conveyance of sound in the waters. The same way the whales can talk to each other from 10 to 20, 30 miles away just
Mm,
by sending out echo sounds into the
mm,
water,
mm,
you see. So when that baby's born, like you said, comes out, that stomach is full of the amniotic fluid.
mm,
And until the baby gets rid of it, then you wait for about maybe a few hours, maybe about 6 to 8 hours, because the
mm.
baby's just sleeping. And the baby should be sleeping right against the mother's heart, because that's the thing that comforts the baby, because that's what that baby heard.
Yeah.
And when you talk to it through the stomach, you are just reacquainting yourself with who it is and affirming who you were that brought this particular avatar about that would then encase that soul that's coming into being.
Mm.
Okay. So now the bond you have with your son is irreplaceable. I mean, from the time that child was in the womb to the time when it came out and heard your voice. Of course, it was for mom. Mom takes over because right away she's, but then after that, he begins to know Father. Mother is God to the infant. But then you begin to know God the Father only after the child reaches a certain age of consciousness at this particular time. So, being that we're talking about water, the waters of life, the waters of what do you call those waters of youth? What do you call it?
Fountain youth.
Fountain of youth.
Yeah, yeah.
All of these have to do with water.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't know where they want to go from here.
Yeah, I mean, no, dude, we on fire right now, Doc. And I think tonight's a full moon. So how fitting for this show on the night of a full moon.
Yep.
I want to ask you, Doc. We talk a lot about the principle of I don't know if principle is the right word, but the idea of as above, so below. And if we see oceans out here and the body is 80% water, and they say that the humans on Earth are sentient beings, and they say our cells within our body are sentient beings. The same way a human out on Earth can drown, is it possible for us to drown ourselves by drinking too much water?
Yeah. You can. What you can do is there has to be a certain pH or potential hydrogen balance. And when I say hydrogen, that means it's a certain amount of fire that is necessary. You could kill or drown cells by taking in too much water. Now, the reason why we need it at this time is because the body is constantly cranking poisons. There's so much poisons in the air right now that if we don't continue to drink to dilute it, it begins to affect the organs. Because the blood, right? If you're talking about the ocean, for example, if you were to take the consistency of the water, the saline solution in the consistency of the ocean, and you match it to the consistency of a healthy young man or woman, the blood and the ocean are the same. Same salt consistency, because salt is the conductor. Yes. Your body needs a certain amount of salt. You say, well, I don't want to take no salt. But you need that salt because that's what's conducting the electricity throughout your body. That's what they say the first three things is salt, mercury, and something else. There's three things they're dealing with what they call the European alchemy. Salt, sulfur, and mercury. These are the three parts that make us up. All of them components of the carbon atom, the 666. So as I'm saying to you, and I'm saying to everybody else, when you're dealing with the body itself and you're looking for the optimum health, don't look to me because I'm comfortable with what I am, and I'm not like I want to get back into exercising, but I'm lazy right now. I'm in my 70s. I'm going into another tick on the 70th clock. To tell you the truth, whenever I know what it is that I need to speak about, is because I can pivot off of what somebody else tells me. Say, for instance, you have people that are in the room right now, and they have questions, don't they? Right. Are the questions in line with what we've been speaking about?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because some of them just go someplace else.
Well, some of them are. Yeah. It's
like, yeah. Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Why?
Because they're not listening to what I'm saying. They're hearing a whole other set of information that they've filtered through something, and what we're speaking about triggered something completely different in them.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, wait a minute. He just said something that just made me think about something else. Okay? Now, that's how your brain works throughout the day. But you don't allow it. Women allow it. And if you notice, they could be 6 and 12 different places and have you doing 6 and 12 different things, whereas you want to focus.
Women are good at multitasking.
Yes, they call it multitasking, but it's because their attention span has to be that way because of the fact that they're mothers.
Right.
They have to be right now, and they have to be very cogent about everything going on around them, because the baby needs to be eaten. They got to do this, they got to do that. Whereas you set the stage for them to have all the things that they need so that they can be that. That's what makes a happy woman. A
Yeah.
woman gets happy when she's a mother and she has every resource she needs to do whatever she has to do.
Mhm.
Because you have to. Why you think? Why you think the African men, they used to go and they used to see? They used to come. The Europeans used to go into Africa and they used to see in the tribes the men be just sitting around and the women doing all the work. Because if you weren't doing all the work, they will be causing chaos.
Mm.
So a lot of people are saying, well, you sound a little bit, yes, I am. I am sexist. I'm very sexist. Why are you sexist, Dr. Valentine? Because I'm a heterosexual. And I don't want any women doing my work. I don't want any women telling me that, what it is to be a man. I will define that space. I know I'm drifting again, but everything is relative at this particular time, because I may sound, because it's a full moon, and this is when all the crazies come out. I'm addressing all the crazies right now. I'm taking you into all these places because this is where everybody's thinking. There's all these different things going on.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's get back to whatever you want me to talk about now.
So, all right, all right, all right. Just a couple of more questions till we get into the currency aspect. It's just this has been so amazing so far that I couldn't even get to the next part of the show yet. Let's go here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, somebody made a comment early in the chat. That about two more questions or what? Somebody made a comment early in the chat